everybody. Hey, Omega.
Yes.
So I recently had to employ a rotunda, I believe. Well, maybe not a rotunda, but the repo man recently visited me.
You don't say.
I don't know where I was going with this joke, but goddamn it, Raw is good. Let's start the show. I'm doing everything! Well, last no time for joking around. We give from isolates, no laughing louder, baby. If Dr. Wrong to track down blue, you'd be happy times if you only listen to. Get serious, oh, whoa. Get serious, oh, whoa. Get serious. I had to piss a lot of people off. Enough! Hey everybody, and welcome to Woo Gets Serious. This is number 80-something. I believe 87. Am I correct? Yes, 87. Joining me this week is my co-host, Omega BR.
I sure hope your wit didn't get lost in the move.
It did. It's packed in some box somewhere.
Along with your collection of NFC collector's plates.
No, actually I think it's right there next to my Macho Man Randy Savage figure. But that's not the point. The point is that we're joined by our technical producer, Mr. Yankum DDS.
Hey-o!
And this week we are joined by, well, the one, the only, and thank God there's only one of them, Nat Jester.
The hell with Magneto, the master of magnetism, to blazes with Electro, foe of Spider-Man. I have conquered electricity! 3 outlets! But enough about me. How about you?
Anyways.
You know this is his outlet.
I know this is his outlet.
I wish he'd get the fuck outlet.
Oh, that was the best one you could think up.
That's currently the worst joke here.
We'll be working at the outlets.
The night is young, Gun. Let's get started.
Alright, let's do the news. The news. Wait, hold on. The news. The finalists for WrestleMania 31 have been revealed as the Bay Area of California and their new Levi's Stadium. Man, I bet those jeans fit real comfortably. The soon-to-be home to the San Francisco 49ers and Philadelphia's Lincoln Financial Field, home of the Eagles. The newer stadium seems to have the edge, not only for being new, but being presented to WWE to run there before the Super Bowl, as well as being an indoor venue as opposed to an outdoor outdoor in Philly. However, an article on Philly.com notes the city doesn't get it this year and may very well get it in 2014. Meanwhile, there is a talk of dropping Hell in a Cell pay-per-view concept and moving SummerSlam to Madison Square Garden next year. Please, please, please drop Hell in the Cell pay-per-view as a concept, and please, please, please move SummerSlam to Madison Square Garden.
I'm okay with that for sure.
It's been in LA for like 6 years or some shit.
Oh, I suppose there's some sort of semi-reasonable explanation for that, being they think LA is a party town and it's a last party of summer for the WWE or something like that. But pay-per-views have the flavor of their city, so, you could move it around and still have fun with it.
Well, it's a matter of publicity and celebrity. They think it's easier to get celebrities and do all their SummerSlam week stuff, like the Be a Star campaigns, access, all that good stuff. But you could easily do that in New York as well. Madison Square Garden, probably even sell it out. Seems like that new stadium is probably the favorite to get WrestleMania 31, though. I'm not sure how strong an argument Philadelphia has. The main thing going for Philly is that it's right near their home base and everything, you know what I mean?
Right, just like New York was. I think it might be a little too close for comfort right this very moment, but I could see it eventually. Eventually Philly's going to get another one. The one I keep waiting for is Toronto, to be completely honest.
Okay, what's so special about Toronto besides drug-induced mayor?
The last one they had was 18.
You know, they haven't even had a pay-per-view since, I think, 2006.
Exactly. So I mean, they're due for one at the very least, and that's a very hot crowd up there. Because they don't get very much, and it's not like people can't jump the border. For our truth, maybe a couple others too.
Well, speaking of jumping, SoCal Val, who performed various duties, including interviewer, ring girl, and live event liaison, has left TNA after 9 years with the company. Apparently, a huge star, AJ Styles, his contract is up next month with TNA, with the company supposedly doing not that much to lock him in, because the main issue is money. Actually, a user on Reddit who is not our famed Dolphins fan claims to have a family friend that works HR for TNA and revealed that Styles is being asked to take a huge pay cut, hence the trouble. In addition, he revealed that Val was apparently being paid $115,000 a year, that Ken Anderson is also being asked to take a pay cut, that the recently re-signed Magnus is being paid double his previous deal, and that Hulk Hogan himself is being paid $8 million over 3 years, plus merchandise and company ownership, although, to be fair, Spike TV pays a large portion of his salary. So, now obviously, you can't take all this as fact, given the source, but it does seem viable, possible, that kind of thing.
I don't know, stuff like that. I'm not talking about the source, but if this is actually actual, it doesn't say much about good old Hulk Hogan that he's getting the lion's share of money in this company, and some of the established talent that are actually doing matches are, getting not much at all.
The biggest thing for me is AJ Styles, who, is the face of TNA, been with them since the beginning. Been, a part, not necessarily the star, but been a part of most major storylines. And, to just let him go, or to ask him to take this huge pay cut, might be a little insulting on his part. Plus, he's got a family, and plus, he could write his ticket, maybe not to WWE, but, Ring of Honor, of course, Japan. Mexico.
Yeah, AJ Styles not in TNA. That has been something that people have been theorizing about ever since TNA kind of started.
I definitely wouldn't mind seeing AJ go against Liger in New Japan, that's for sure.
I think it says a lot about the current state of TNA, where they're asking a guy like AJ Styles to take a pay cut and are apparently willing to let him go over it. But, here's Hulk Hogan with his large paycheck, which we'll get into in a minute. And, just in general, all these other stars. And plus the fact that, he's still a pretty pivotal part of the show. He just kind of teamed up with the Main Event Mafia on the last episode. So they have this habit of, maybe that's their way of trying to get him to stay, making him a big part of the current program. I don't know.
Well, speaking of a current program, according to The Observer, WWE and Bill Goldberg are in talks for possibly a WrestleMania match, presumably with Ryback. Though 47, he still trains hard and he's in good shape, and we'd like his son to see him wrestle live. WWE is now under the assumption that The Rock will be turning for WrestleMania 30, as a major licensee was told this past week to not produce any new merchandise for him. And officials are apparently very interested in bringing in current New Japan star Prince Devitt at some point, apparently since it was a match between he and Adrian Neville, the former Pac, that William Regal showed to Triple H leading to Pac's signing. Prince Devitt in the WWE? Finally!
I'm gonna say, even though I'd love to see him in the WWE, I think NJPW is gonna take a hit if that happens.
Well, nobody's really sure if Devitt is under contract to New Japan. It would be a pretty good acquisition, WWE going after these, kind of top indie guys. Although my main issue with that is, you have like current storylines, like what's going on with the McMahons and Bryan, and then you have CM Punk doing his thing. A lot of these guys don't really lend themselves well to sort of be in the background, you know what I mean? Like if this is the cream of the crop, then, if they bring them all in, then they have to find a way to find a place for all of them on the show. Like, some of these guys, like Prince Devitt, I couldn't imagine necessarily, depending on his character, I guess, I couldn't necessarily imagine him just standing there being silent, you know what I mean? Based on his reputation.
Well, they'd bring him in and then they wouldn't do anything with him. That's my guess.
And how about Goldberg? I mean, the guy still is in pretty good shape, although he said he would want to face somebody like The Undertaker or Steve Austin and not, Ryback, who he always has words for. I think recently he said he has more talent in his pinky finger than Ryback has in his whole body, but, who knows? If a deal even came to fruition.
I would be interested in seeing that particular mirror match, because I don't think there's any chance of it being mediocre. I think there's a definite chance for it being just friggin' awful, but that awful in a good way. Not the I can't watch, it's so bad, but oh my god, look at how terrible this is.
Kind of like Goldberg's last WrestleMania match.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys about that. What at WrestleMania 20, what did you think about, since I've never asked you guys that, about Bill Goldberg and Brock Lesnar?
It was terrible.
Well, see, here's the thing. That's the kind of match you get when nobody really wants to do it. And Goldberg's not going to agree to a deal just to do a match with Ryback he doesn't want to do, and kind of repeat that whole thing. That's kind of the point,
By the way, were any of you guys at WrestleMania 20? Because I was.
Nope.
No, I've never been to WrestleMania.
Me either.
I was at an Over the Limit once.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Let me guess, he was over the limit on drinks, too. But that...
Alright, well, speaking of being over the limit, it appears that despite his higher salary as an office worker, following his traumatic injury, TNA did not actually pay Jesse Sorensen's medical bills, because Sorensen has revealed that his mother went bankrupt paying them herself. And although he is allowed to take deals outside the company, the fact that Hulk Hogan is appearing in a WWE video game is seen by many in the company as a slap in the face, not to mention booking appearances like the arm wrestling appearance with Toronto Mayor Rob Ford this weekend, which got him worldwide publicity. The reason he's been kept off TV in recent weeks was another cost-cutting measure, and many in TNA are really starting to wonder if Hogan's really worth it, and if he'll even be a part of TNA in the near future, whether he chooses to be or not. Also, Eric Bischoff took to Twitter to claim that the 2K deal was actually WWE using existing trademarks and not actually a new deal that Hogan had fandangled for himself, which I don't really believe.
I wouldn't put it past Hogan to play both sides there to make whatever money he can, because that's just the type of person he is.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Omega.
Well, Hogan doesn't have any loyalty to TNA. He never did. He's all about himself, all about the money. Most of his appearances, he doesn't even mention TNA. And, not that he doesn't like TNA, but like I said, he just doesn't have any loyalty to them. He's eyeing that run with WWE again, come back, be a legend, WrestleMania 30 maybe even,
All I can say is if your idea of a public appearance is arm wrestling some guy who should be tossed out of office because of all of his drug use and his marital infidelity, then the next stop on your rung down the ladder is getting caught with a transvestite hooker.
Hey, you leave Eddie Murphy out of this.
Oh, that's a horrible mental image.
Apparently, I'm the only person that remembers that.
Oh, I remember.
You are.
I mean, yeah, you are.
Just go to the next story.
Well, hang on. Just one more thing. This whole Sorensen business, which not to downplay it by lumping it in with Hogan's garbage, but if TNA really did not pay Sorensen's medical bills, and that's it's really hard to call TNA any kind of major company. You know what I mean? Because everything else they do, that should have been something that they had completely fulfilled, despite wishing him well, giving him a position. That's for his mother to go bankrupt, but that's what in fact happened. You know what I mean?
And then on top of that, pay Hulk Hogan $8 million for 3 years when he doesn't do anything for the company.
Yeah, just more decent product, decent to good product run poorly, And you can argue that Sorensen was lucky to be in TNA in the first place, but still, there's not much of an excuse for that kind of thing. All right, you can go ahead.
Okay. Speaking of going ahead, WWE diva Caitlyn granted her first individual wish with WWE Circle of Champions honoree Jeffrey before Raw on Monday. This is the first time a diva has been requested through Make-A-Wish since Kelly Kelly granted a wish over a year and a half ago. Triple H and Seven McMahon were seen boxing at Gleason's Gym of Brooklyn, shooting footage for the new campaign with Milk, with trainer Hector Roca saying Steph showed some flashes of promise and that boxing isn't her sport.
Surprise!
Speaking of boxing, former boxing champion Riddick Bowe, age 46, is interested in getting into pro wrestling. But he better have a mouth on him, because 46 is,
That's
pretty much.
Yeah.
He might as well be 60.
Especially for a guy who's been beat up for a living for so long.
Yep, if you're not, I just turned 40 recently, and even though I'd love to get into pro wrestling, I have no illusions whatsoever about getting in at this age. It's just not a good idea.
Well, you could be a ring boy. Patterson still works there.
Oh, hell no! And thank you for that mental image, Omega. Jeez.
I'm kind of surprised that divas aren't requested more often for Make-A-Wish. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the cutoff age is like 10 or something. If there were more like 13 or 14-year-old boys, I'm sure the Divas would be the most requested thing, or the most requested people to come and do Make-A-Wish things with the kids than anybody else.
What we need to do is hire a kid who's contagious, and then have him use his wish on the Bella Twins.
All right.
Wow.
The problem would be that they would catch something from the twins.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Anyway, so that's it for the news. I believe it's time for the 15-minute time limit. So this week we're talking about Raw.
Again?
Again.
Alright, well, I'll start by saying, a lot of people said it was a good show, and it was, but here's my opening argument, so to speak. It's a show that I recognize as being good when I step outside myself. But when I go back in myself, and as somebody who's been watching, since...
I'm going to stop you right there because we don't need to hear about you going in and out of yourself.
Oh, and I thought I was the only one who did the sexual innuendo on this podcast. But moving right along, fearless leader.
Anyway, as somebody who's been watching, since the mid-90s, consistently, it's the kind of stuff that you really, even if you've been watching the past 5 years, really, it's the kind of stuff that becomes very familiar, and with that familiarity comes a certain dullness, you know what I mean? Stuff like, out of nowhere, here comes Orton with a brand new Escalade. And, I wonder what's going to happen to that, Here's Bryan with a gauntlet match. I wonder how that's going to end. Basically the same way it happened last week. So, while not bad at progressing this story, it's stuff that is very familiar. It's like if a sitcom does an episode that's based entirely around a familiar story, like let's say it's a fairy tale, like Red Riding Hood or something. It's not bad per se, but if they follow it to the letter, then it becomes sort of, without putting that new kind of spin on it, then it becomes sort of, just, what we're used to.
Are we live?
Oh, we're live.
Okay, great. So my mic's working.
Yep, and we heard that.
Hello, Dante. Welcome to We'll Get Serious.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah, I
Dante
figured-
joining us.
I'd stop join after, since I'm confirmed for Woo. Woo is War now, so. Plus, figured it might as well if there's not really anything else going on. Did we already talk about AJ's pipe bomb? Was that a topic?
Not yet, but we're getting into it.
Okay, well then I'll just wait until then, because I have the latest update from Alvarez.
Ooh, spicy, but...
Really?
We
Let's
were
hear
getting...
it.
Oh, all right, yeah.
This is a direct quote from F4W. And I need a better push-to-talk key because Tab has my screen bugging out.
Tab, you are the bane of a computer existence. But a decent soda pop, to be perfectly honest. I'd push that sucker to the moon. Anyway.
Gross, you drink Tab? I'm sorry, we're talking about wrestling here. Okay, I agree with you. Everybody knew exactly what was going to happen as soon as they rolled that car out. There is a familiarity to that, but I don't know. I still liked it. Like, even though I knew it was going to happen, I was still like, ah, ha, 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 he got him. I mean, and Dick Butt, as always, adorable.
The Yescalade is now officially vernacular in professional wrestling.
It's a thing. Next time a car comes out, yes, it's going to be called the Yescalade, no matter what the hell type of car it is. Because we know what's going to happen to it.
What I think was great was it wasn't a matter of what's going to happen to the car. Well, it wasn't a matter of is something going to happen to the car, it's what's going to happen to the car. Because I was wondering, is he going to kick the tires' wheels off? Is he going to mash up the front? Is he going to be like Kofi and freak out on it with a crowbar? Kofi's tweet was some nice continuity, surprisingly above and beyond from him.
Yeah, they already did the car thing with Orton.
Yeah, and the hitting it, I mean, obviously I don't think crowbar would be Debrai's style, but I really do like the yes spray paint and how I thought it was just one yes, and I was like, this is weak, and then it goes on to the more, and it was just perfect delivery. It worked perfectly.
Well, Omega, you're now aware that if it happens one more time, it's officially a running gag.
Yeah, that rule of, 7 years before you can repeat yourself. And you can argue there's a certain familiarity with this entire angle with the, people last week calling it, Austin v. McMahon, only with, Triple H and Bryan and everything, and still too early to call on that front, I think. But.
So do you think we're going to get a Triple H Daniel Bryan match?
I think Bryan can pull a good match out of Triple H. I'm not quite sure how that would work.
Me neither.
If we do, I think it's going to be more like the matches that Austin had with McMahon, where, McMahon was a competitor. He wasn't just flopping around out there. But it wasn't really about that match. It was about sort of the circumstance around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like one of the things Russo actually got right in that recent shoot, that a match, everything that goes on is for storytelling.
That's pretty much a basic idea of professional wrestling. Every match should be told in the ring, and if you're not telling a match in the ring, you're wasting everybody else's time.
So let's move.
Which is why TNA, the guys in TNA are like, oh, well, I only got 4 stars or I only got 3 stars, because it's just spot fests. And it's the same thing a lot of Ring of Honor guys need to figure out, is that spot fests aren't going to get you over unless for some reason you're Rob.
That's the Ring of Honor That's the Ring of Honor style, though, and that's exactly what people expect out of them. I mean, you go to Ring of Honor at this point to see that kind of style, which, albeit, is amazing, but it isn't, the end of the world.
Okay, that's kind of my...
Am I the only one that's surprised that Vince Russo understands one of the basic tenets of professional wrestling?
Well, he says he does, but in practice,
It's Vince
like
Russo.
a Russo thing, where, Russo gets half of it and Cornette gets half of it, and, Cornette can't get the main point because he's too blinded by his determination to always be right, and Russo just doesn't get the main point because he's completely retarded. But, Russo will start saying something good, the guys in TNA, they just do spots and there's no character, and this is what Bully Ray is saying. And, I trust Bully Ray more than I do Russo. And then he takes that good point and he just drives it into the ground of, yeah, it's all predetermined, nobody cares about the match, they only care about the characters.
Well, that's kind of what the problem I have with Raw lately, because a lot of these matches on the undercard don't really tell much of a story. I mean, there's a story there, Cody and Damian feuding and Fandango and Miz feuding, but a lot of it is just kind of fluff and filler, and it doesn't really matter.
And then we get ideas out of the blue like Cody Rhodes and Miz teaming up against Damian Sandow and Fandango, and you're scratching your head going, WTF?
Well, I like how, for that match, we had Fandango, what I really like about the whole thing, before anything else, was Brad Maddox booking it. It was actually perfect delivery. I love Maddox's character as this absolute doofus who tries to be cool, and it really works on a hilarious self-parody level. As for the match itself, it was boring. The skull-crushing finale is still better than the figure 3.5, but, there was no chemistry.
Well, that's my point. A lot of these tag matches, too. There's rumblings of a feud there, but most of it is just for filler. And then when you get these segments like Punk or Bryan and Triple H and whatever, they drag them out so long, and not a whole lot really happens that's kind of refreshing and such. But
this is beginning to feel like 1997 all over again, which is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time.
Yeah, I'd say so.
All right, well, here let's get to your breaking news.
Okay, so I got this off of Figure 4, Ryan Alvarez's article. And I quote, "There were people in WWE, a lot of them actually,
and I quote,
the announcers. There were a lot of people, a lot of them including the announcers, obviously raving about AJ's promo last night." Okay, get ready to rage. Obviously, it was all being shot as part of the next season the continuation of Season 1, with 6 additional episodes of Total Divas. There were cameras filming an angle backstage, the promo, and all the girls' reactions, and it'll lead to an AJ versus Total Divas cast member at Night of Champions, also to be filmed for the E-Show.
Oh, suck it, duck it, quack, quack.
I know we've been had.
Well, that's sinking in. Immediately after that, Total Divas did 1.46 million viewers this week. Very good number going head-to-head with over 10 million that the MTV Video Music Awards did. Alvarez attributes all of this to Cameron, or Ariane. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
It's pretty obvious that's the only reason. That and Night of Champions, the Token Divas match. I was saying to the guys before the show, I really didn't find that quote-unquote pipe bombshell, or whatever you want to call it, really that impressive. I mean, I didn't... Not that it wasn't done well by AJ, but what I mean is, I don't really consider it a pipe bomb, because it wasn't really very out of character. All she really said was, as somebody who's not on the show and is the champion, she doesn't have to waste her time with that garbage. And, just running down the rest of the girls, which every heel champion does at some point. And, she didn't really... Yes, she said what a lot of us say and think, but, that doesn't mean it was like a shocking, shoot type of thing, I thought it was pretty standard, to be honest with you.
I think what kinda sold it almost, and I really hate to say this, was the Bella Twins' reaction and Cameron's reaction of freaking the hell out. Not obviously in canon where they just did that stupid "say it to our face, say it to our face" that made me want to shoot myself, but the whole "oh my god" and then the skipping and then going the Twitter rampage afterward was what I think really sold this as a pipe bomb, because it felt like there was some legit butthurt from that promo. I'm guessing I think what happened was that line about the Bella's daddy issues was cut. Well, it was cut without WWE knowing. She just shot that off. That line was probably a shoot, and that's why the Bellas had their uncharacteristic response talking about AJ's family problems, which was never really part of her character.
It kind of was, though, because at the beginning of, at the same time that you're saying that, her past has been brought up in things, I'm not sure where, but they talked about how she's the one that supports and whatnot. It was a good promo. I think everyone's calling it a pipe bomb because the females actually did something.
Yeah, pretty much.
But, I just thought that... What did y'all think of the Wyatt family promo? About Sister Abigail.
That was really, really good. I think they kind of borked a little bit with some of the... how would I put it? Very... I don't know, that they put these like effects over the top of the video that were completely unnecessary. But other than that, it was great.
I think actually one of the things that did kind of confuse me was, and I know this can easily be hand waved, but when he talks about Sister Abigail, it sounds like he's referring to a nun, but he's singing a Baptist spiritual, so there's like that little religious difference.
Well, here's the thing about that. In Christian churches, it's very common for congregants to refer to each other as brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so. It's a very familial thing, especially in like Southern Baptist and Pentecostal churches. Please don't ask me how I know this. I just do.
How do you know this, Jew?
You realize that he's supposed to be a Southern preacher kind of person, right? And he's supposed to be completely religious.
I was thinking about all the different Southern religions, knowing, because for all of 1 year I was a history major in college, so I'm just thinking of like all the different religious history going down in the Florida swamplands, thinking about all that, Bayou, and just doing a little bit of thinking. But I just thought, but the thing is, Bray has a really good singing voice. Like, honestly, wow. Like, he is actually way more talented as a singer.
No way, dude. He's a tank with a Ferrari engine.
So you're telling me that you'd like to see Bray Wyatt come out with a country album?
I'm sure it would be better than Mickey James.
Actually, it would be a whatchamacallit, Southern Baptist revival.
It'd be gospel.
All of my
gospel
money
cover
to,
of the Wrestle Rock Rumble.
All of my money to an album of Lillian and Way doing old 80s duets, like Linda Ronstadt style duets.
Let me put it this way. I would rather have Bray Wyatt sing the national anthem than JoJo again.
JoJo
well, that goes
was
without
not
saying.
Bad. I just wish when people would sing the national anthem, they wouldn't sing it like it's a fucking funeral dirge. It's supposed to be a celebratory song, not
I got one.
Fucking my dog died last week.
I got one. What we really need, and this is a brainstorm. This is something. What we really need is a gospel revival of Pile Driver. We need a choir. We need someone to stand in for Coco Beware. We need somebody to just give that good old bass line, that Hillbilly Jim. That's what we need to do.
And that's it for the 15-minute time limit. We will be... our next segment is segment number 3, which is kayfabe issues. But before we get to that, before we get to the worst segment of the whole show, we were going to hear a song from...
It is the best segment of the show.
Super Blizzard, the man who was kind enough to write us our theme song. So, Yankum, what are we listening to this week?
Antichrist, number 1.
How appropriate. See you on the other side.
My vision is set, I can't see the past. My vision is set, I can't see the past. 'Cause in the act of breaking you, I feel like I was born anew. The Antichrist has risen at last. Dust has settled down, and your body's in my wake. Your love led you astray. I made no such mistake. No. I reach up to heaven and I pull down the chair. I reach up to heaven, I pull down the chair. And in giving up my soul, I found absolute control. You're going to hell, I'm sending you there. You are the cancer, I am the knife. You are the cancer, I am the knife. And when the shot rang out so loud, I could feel my mind uncloud. I took your mask, I'll take your life. When the dust has settled down, your body's in my wake. Your love led you astray, and I made no such mistake. No. And when the dust has settled down, and your body's in my wake, your love led you astray, and I made no such mistake. And if you ever were my friend, then I know you'll understand. I'm going to hell. I'm meeting you there.